just really tore into her one day, and I didn't know any of that was going on, but I was still living in New Jersey at the time. I may have told you this, and all of a sudden, my doorbell rings, and I got the door, and there was Vaughn.
Yeah.
He just was like, I can't deal with it anymore, Madeline. He said, okay, if I'm here, and I was like, as usual, make yourself at home.
Vaughn learned to play guitar at your house, right?
He certainly was playing guitar. He practiced a lot at my house. He did.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because I recently came across an interview with their dad, and it seems that there was a little distance between Vaughn and the dad. It seems more that Ron was the golden child, and Vaughn was like a closer to his mum, let's say.
Very close to his mother.
Yeah.
Very, very, very close to his mother.
Yeah.
So, it's I find that the whole thing was unfortunate. I thought that the way that they held the service was unfortunate because they only did a very small service there in Antigua.
Yeah.
And, on St. Croix. Was it on St. Croix? I think it was on St. Croix.
No, it was Antigua.
It was in Antigua.
It was Antigua.
Okay.
Yeah.
His sister, yes. He has a sister that lives in St. Croix. That's why I thought it was there.
Yeah.
But it was unfortunate because so many people wanted to pay tribute to him, and I always felt like that was Ronnie's doing, because he kind of wouldn't want to see that level and outpouring of love toward Vaughn because he was very jealous of his brother. Very jealous.
Like why do you say that? Well, like.
But Vaughn was and it's interesting, Christopher, because Ronnie himself, very talented.
Incredibly, right?
Incredibly talented,
yeah.
Beautiful voice. He played all the instruments. Ronnie played all the instruments,
sure,
right?
Sure.
And but Vaughn was the voice and the spirit of roots reggae, right? Even when they were doing, when they were performing as reggae artists, like when I first met them, I loved the music that they were doing. It was, up tempo, but you felt Vaughn's energy trying to bring it down to a roots level, and Ron wanting to be more up tempo, high energy, blah blah, and but Vaughn was just different. In answer to your question, Vaughn was special. He was special. He really was.
His dad said he was naturally gifted. Like he never had a music lesson in his life. His dad chuckles at. But Vaughn became, like you say, Madeline, the voice and soul of Midnite.
Yeah, and he didn't have to do anything. This is, I'm sure you observed him, and this was certainly the case when I, from the beginning, from what I observed myself, and even from myself, I was very, very drawn to Vaughn.
Right.
His presence was I was drawn to Ron as well, because like I said, they were both talented, both gorgeous, right?
Right.
And so, but Vaughn had a stillness about him. His stillness was magnetic.
Right.
So he could walk into a room and just stand, and the power emanated from him. He didn't have to do very much. And it was very, very noticeable that Ron felt, at least this is what he felt, that he did more in terms of getting attention for himself, right?
That's right.
Through his gifts. It was through his gifts, yes.
Yeah.
But you saw and felt the raw competition, which wasn't necessary.
Right.
And, and Vaughn was just very spiritual and gravitated. He read all the time. all the time. He was a sponge, and and he would play the guitar, and he would put down the guitar. This is when we spent more time and my son was around, and my grandson was around. Sometimes I talk to my youngest son, and he remembers some things that even I have forgotten. Amazing.
Yeah.
But he would just like sit down, and he pondered a lot. He was meditative. So what I always said was Vaughn was very, very godlike.
Okay, yeah, like that stillness is very characteristic of second-born children in Tibet. They used to say that the second-born was always given away to the monastery. And so there's something about that nature, and again that the whole archetypal story of Cain and Abel seems to be very illustrative of the relationship between Ron and Vaughn. Like Cain was like, how the pardon my French, but how the fuck does my younger brother get all the blessing from God? Look, I can do this and I can do that, and I offer this, I put this effort in, but still he gets the blessing. And that sense of resentment can sometimes be seen in the stage performances, I feel. No,
there was no question. You felt the tug and pull, because Ronnie was on the keyboards, and the keyboard, just generally drives everything. But then you would feel Vaughn bringing it down, not in a bad way, but
but grounding it.
To the vibrational level that it needed to be at, and Ron would have no choice unless he wanted to reveal himself in front of crowds of people as being an ass. So no matter how he, may have tried to keep it at a certain tempo, once Vaughn brought the mood to where it belonged, the vibration where it belonged, Ron had no choice but to follow. And then when Joe loved the register that Ron was at, because with that bass, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It grounded everything. Vaughn and Joe, they had an energy between them, the instrumentation and the vocals and all of that worked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Joe experienced all of that angst and between the two brothers. And Vaughn, I was very surprised when I heard that he left broken off from Ronnie, because I knew it was going to come someday. As a matter of fact, I used to tell him I never tried to separate them ever, because I feel a way about, I also know that these were brothers who loved each other. It was very complicated.
Yeah, no, for sure. There was still a deep respect and a deep kinship between them.
Very much loved each other. And Vaughn was kind of, he knew that anytime he wanted to step away from Ronnie, that he could, and that he would excel, right? He would rise to the level that he was rightfully born to rise to.
Yeah.
But he couldn't bring himself to do it primarily because he didn't want to hurt his mother.
You're so right. In a tune called Hieroglyphics, there's a line that Vaughn states, and he says, it's a word from his mum again, and he says, Mama said, leave home together, come home together. And so this was Vaughn's primary intention in some respects. Like I'm sure he'd seen bands come and go and come, and been around the music scene and knowing the path that musicians have to walk. It's very difficult to balance family and work, and so Vaughn had kept that really set in his meditation that whatever accomplishments they made, they tried to make them together, and they tried to honor the investment that both the parents had made in them.
Yes, absolutely. So it was a very complicated relationship. But I told Capunia, I said, look,